welcome into getting help from Uncle Sam, and actually getting help from our legislature. This is about Alabama and all of you fine people who serve for us and give your time and your passion to trying to make this state a better place. And we are very blessed to have with us today Representative Mike Holmes. And you know what? I just think you're one of the good guys. So
I really appreciate that.
You are welcome. But you have, you know, so many times people walk one walk, talk one talk, but I really love the fact that you walk the talk that you talk. And how about giving our audience, because we all care, sort of an overview of this past legislative session? What did we accomplish?
Well, before I get to what we accomplished, one of the things that we started off with was a big black cloud hanging over our head that carried over from the last session, impeachment investigation and proceedings that ultimately wound up with the resignation of the governor, which was a huge amount of energy required. I served on the Judiciary Committee, and we're the ones that had to address that and did the investigation and assemble the evidence, and which ultimately resulted in resignation of the governor. So that was a big black cloud we had to face, and it feels like we've got a new start and a new day now. I think our new governor is off to a great start. She's made some really tough decisions that I admire greatly for. She stepped up on the special election, for example. The Constitution tells very clearly what that's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a fast process, post haste, not the next general election 18 months away. And she had the courage to step up, and even though it's going to cost the state taxpayers some money, that's what our Constitution says, that we need to do that. And
you're referring to the race for the senatorial race.
And she did that, and of course we're going to have that special election in August. So that we started off the session with that hanging over us, and it spent a lot of my time and a lot of my colleagues' time on that issue. We just kind of taken all the oxygen out of the room until we got that resolved. We didn't get a slow start. We actually got a head start on budgets, which is our primary objective. That's the only thing we're mandated constitutionally to do, is get the budgets out, and we did that fairly quickly. Didn't get passed out until the last week on one of them, but it was resolved, and it was just ready for the vote. But so that was not a problem. We had some good accomplishments that I'm proud of, though. That one of them I think that taxpayers need to be aware of is we passed the Fair Justice Act, as it was called, and essentially it addressed the long delays we have in the death penalty process. We have death row inmates sitting in prison for up to 30, sometimes over 30 years, which is not fair to the charged, the prisoner, the convicted, or it's not fair to the victims particularly. You imagine their families that have had a murder in their family that have to live with that indefinitely, just on and on and on with appeal after appeal. There was a lot of redundancy there. Some of the appeals could not take place until another step had happened. So you're waiting 10 or 12 years to kick in Rule 32, which is one of the longest. It's dealing with incompetent attorneys that they can claim after 10 or 15 after the other process, and then that one could drag out 10. So we actually combine those two timelines together, so that we hopefully can cut that time about in half. So we're hoping that nothing will drag out past 15 years. I hope so. That's one of the accomplishments. I think that's going to be good for the state. It's going to be good for our penal code. Another really good one that was a great accomplishment to me was the Monument Preservation Act, which essentially defends all our historic monuments around the state from being taken out and destroyed, and actually trying to, in an attempt to obliterate our history almost and change our history, which you and I know, history is history. It's what happened, it's the facts. You can't change it. You can't change it, but you can learn from it if you study it and preserve those monuments, and that's essentially what that bill does. Another one I'm personally proud of, it's in my district, and I've worked on it would be the third year, and we finally got it passed this year. It's called the Deputy Bart Hart bill. We actually, because of a terrible accident we had in Elmore County, not far from my home, where we had 4 people killed, and a carload of teenage 16-year-olds hit one of our deputies head on, going almost 100 miles an hour over a hill, and killed 3 of the boys. One of them survived, and killed the deputy. Deputy Bart Hart was going at the exact speed limit when they had recorders in the car so they could monitor what the speeds were. He was going 45 miles an hour in a 45 zone when he was hit head on. So this bill actually strengthens the penalties phase, and it really does it in a way that gives the judges a lot of discretion of how to deal with these children and hopefully protect them and keep them from winding up trapped in the system with a bad start. The first penalty it actually is having to attend a traffic education school or defensive driving school.
Excellent.
And I don't think, you and I probably can't remember back to when our Saturdays were that important to us when you're out of school, and you don't want to give up 6 hours of a Saturday to go sit in school. So those kids remember that, and plus there's a lot of retention for what they learn in there. In the history with the judges that have tried this in some of the municipal courts, they haven't had any cases where they come back. They get the first conviction and they go to the school and they don't see them again, which is saving lives.
Amen, because a lot of times you think that those words are falling on deaf ears, but you know what, those seeds once planted do grow.
Yes, they do.
And anything that can save lives, Mike.
This is going to save dozens, maybe hundreds of lives, and the important thing to me is it's going to be mostly teenage lives.
And that's what's so beautiful, because there is nothing sadder than the loss of a child. And it's difficult, and all the beauty of these years they had ahead, they don't have the opportunity to grow and make this world a better place. So I thank you so very much for working on things that matter, that make Alabama a better place to live. And we just appreciate you so much, and we'll have you back next week to talk about some of the things that are going to be coming up, because our audience needs to know. And thanks for being with us, and we'll be right back.